Hello everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. Today I'm sharing my not too shabby shop design team project using Sunny Studios Savanna Safari. Aren't these adorable? I absolutely love this stamp set. I will link the other project that I created using this. I am also using from Sunny Studios the Buffalo Plaid embossing folder. I will be using the Sakura gel pen, the black jelly roll pen. I'm going to do some watercoloring with Corinne Brush Marker Pros. I will also add in, not shown, some Color Bloom Sprays as well as some cat Scrappiness dies. Let's jump into it. I did cut this panel using Canson watercolor paper. I used the Never Ending dies from Cat Scrappiness, which can be found in the Not Too Shabby shop. I started out by spraying the sorbet. I added the gilded, and then that really vibrant orange is tangerine, and those are the beautiful Color Bloom sprays. I have had these sprays in my stash for quite some time. I keep meaning to bring them out, and I thought today was the day. Again, I'm trying to use products that I already have, and I thought that this would be a really fun experiment because I recently bought a couple of the Brushos, and I believe these are mica powders, and they have super intense colors. My particular one, this crimson that I opened up, does not have a kind of, you know, like a salt shaker, what's on the top of a salt shaker. It doesn't have one of those on the top so that I can sprinkle. Instead, I had to use, I had to use a little tiny spoon and kind of try to tap it on, but you could see I did end up getting some high concentration on the left side, which is perfectly fine because, again, this is just a little bit of an experiment. And after sprinkling it on top of this, I decided that I would dry it back and see how I wanted to proceed. I do end up adding just a little bit more color, and I try to spray that with, or I try to sprinkle some water on my hand to see if I could get even more movement, but I wasn't getting the movement that I was looking for. So I will just dry that, do a little bit more spraying with the sorbet because I thought that I lost some of that yellow. And then I will come in with another Cat Scrappiness die. It is actually from the Zigzag, also carried in Jamie's shop. So this time I'm going to put my powder down first, and I'm going to try, I got a little bit too much there. I'm going to put my powder down first, and then I'm going to spray the sorbet, Color Bloom, the gilded, and then lastly the tangerine to see how that spreads. And it's still not where I want it to be. I add a little bit more of the Brusho. I probably shouldn't have added as much of the Brusho as I did. And then I brought in some water. So now I'm really getting some good movement. And I love the way that this dried back. I do try to lessen the concentration of powder that's right there in the center. I don't quite get it to where I want it to be, but the Color Blooms have a pearlescent feel to it, at least the ones that I have, and it really lended itself to quite a beautiful background, as you can see. Once I finish with this background, I'm going to add some more of the Color Blooms. This time I'm going to take the gold foil, and I will take the cap off, and I will use the sprayer, and I will tap that on to get a little bit of gold splattering. I do end up with a couple of really watery spots, those two big drops, and I'm going to take off camera, I cut it out, but I do take a paper towel and I dry it just a little because everything else was drying back beautifully, but those were not drying for the life of me. They weren't moving, they weren't doing anything, and so I decided just to dab it up a little bit with a paper towel. These are the Cat Scrappiness condensed alphas. They are not carried in Jamie's shop at this time. I cut the word happy out, as you can see, and I am going to add those to the buffalo plaid embossing folder. I'm trying to get, as you could see with the color blooms and with this embossing folder, just some texture to this card. I wanted to make sure that it had, you know, lots of texture, and I think that I was able to achieve that. Here's a good look at them. And then we will go on to our little critters. And so for the elephant and the hippopotamus, I do stamp those onto B watercolor paper. I had not tried the B paper with the Corinne Brush Marker Pros, and I wanted to see how they worked on there. I did stamp them using VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I am not going to show the coloring of the hippo or the zebra. Those were pretty much the same technique. I took my darkest color. In the case of the elephant, my darkest color was a neutral gray 3, and I went ahead and put it over the corners of his ears, the edges of his ears, and I wasn't quite getting the movement that I wanted. I think I got really good movement when I used these with my Bristol Smooth cardstock, but for this, it just wasn't moving, so I decided to just go with the old put it on my craft mat, draw on my craft mat with the marker, and then just blend it out. So I will build up the color with this, starting lightly, and you'll see that I get a beautiful color with this. I think that these pens are absolutely fabulous. They have a high concentration of pigment, which I absolutely love. I really want to try some other watercolor papers to see how they move on there. I found with the Canson that I didn't get a lot of movement when I went pen to paper. And in this case, with the B watercolor paper, I didn't get a lot of movement either. And I didn't want the high concentration. I didn't want to color like I would with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, where, you know, you just add the two colors direct to paper. I thought that that would be just a little bit more vibrant than what I was looking for. So I will just continue to go back and forth. I will add the shading behind the elephant's ears, at the bottom of his trunk, underneath where his legs are. And then you'll see that I did forget to color the tail. I don't know what I was thinking, but I do miss it. Eventually, off camera, I believe, I think I cut that out. I do end up coloring in his tail. So here I am. I have layered up my pieces. I'm trying to figure out how I want this to, how I want to configure the elephant and the hippopotamus. I did use the Never Ending die from Cat Scrappiness to cut another layer underneath, and that is what I put the Cat Scrappiness zigzag piece on. I did pop that up using my X Factor foam tape. I'm using some glue from my stash, and I am putting those letters onto that beautiful zigzag panel. I think that that yellow, I believe it's Gina K Designs Corn, which she no longer carries because I guess the manufacturer was unable to reproduce that. So this is, you know, I have a little bit left in my stash and then it's done. So I'm going to lay this flat to the panel. If you haven't headed over to Jamie's shop, I would encourage you to go over there. She has wonderful products. She's carrying some new Trinity stamps. She has a huge selection of the Trinity stamps. She just has some of the Lawn Fawn that's left over there. I'm sure that the Honeybee stamps is going to be in her shop. I will link her shop in the description box below. If you use the coupon code Jamie, you can get 10% off your purchase. She does have a rewards program, so make sure that you sign up for that if you if you aren't already signed up for that. Also, she loves to see your projects. If you could post over on her Scrappin' Stamper page on Facebook, she would just absolutely love to see what you have created. And so would I. I love to see the inspiration. I do get inspiration from that page, and I love to see, you know, what has inspired you and what Not Too Shabby Shop products you love. I am going to take a little bit of that foam tape and I'm going to put it back behind his bottom in just a moment. First, I'm going to take that black onyx ink and I'm going to stamp the word birthday onto the hippo. I didn't have anywhere else to place it. I didn't want to do it across the letters. I wanted to try something a little bit different. So it went on the hippo. Tell me, let me know in the description box below. What do you think? Was that a good choice, or would you have rather have seen it go across the back of the hippo? Now, these are the little elements, the tree and some grass pieces that are also in the stamp set. So I decided to stamp those out using the black onyx ink onto some scrap Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock. My finished card is going to be 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. So I take a piece of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock that is cut to 6 1/2 by 8 1/4, and I do score it at the 3 1/4 mark. That is pretty much going to be my card for today. I will, as I said, add that little bit of foam, to double-sided foam tape to the back of the hippo's bottom, just so that zigzag is mounted with foam tape, and that little, probably about a 1/4 inch, is not it would create a crease if I tried to mail it. So I want to make sure that I don't get any creases. And as I said, that will be my card for today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe to my channel. Make sure that you ring the bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a video. I love your comments. I love to interact with you. So I hope that you do leave a comment in the box below if you have any questions. Then I will add this last little bit of foliage to the card, and I'll show you a couple views of it, and that will be my card for today. Thanks so much for watching. Have a fabulous day.